Hi folks, Kilt-Man here again. The inspiration for this video hit me the other night whilst walking my husky dog through a rather late night walk it was. The moon was out, a few little skittering clouds were passing hazily in front of it. The street lights were casting an eerie glow across the street. Trees and branches were blowing in the breeze, that autumnal breeze, and leaves were blowing across the streets, and otherwise the entire suburbia seemed deserted. Very eerie. This eeriness was compounded by the fact that I was playing a certain soundtrack, and it was coursing through my head, and really unsettling and unnerving, and great at the same time, because I love this kind of thing. And it was, as the name on this the title of this video kind of suggests, it was a score by a guy called Charles Bernstein. Kilt-Man? Who is Charles Bernstein? Well, Charles Bernstein, folks, was a composer, film composer, who hit the big time with a slew of soundtracks throughout the 80s. Most particularly, he did The Entity for director Sidney J. Furie. The Entity was, do you remember this one? This was a great one, this was like the really dark, sinister side of Poltergeist, because this is a really horny rapist poltergeist who, based on the alleged true story of poor Carla Moran, played in a film by Barbara Hershey, is repeatedly subjected to horrific rape and sexual assaults by possibly not one but a lot of these pesky poltergeists. And for this, Charles Bernstein created a purely electronic synth score which was just so unbelievably unsettling. Whenever an attack scene was going to take place, he'd begin it with this really glacial pitch wavering tone, which would just, the hairs in your back of your neck would rise, and then all of a sudden when the attack would come in, it was a pounding, horrifically battering sonic assault. He would then go on to do other things like Deadly Friend for Wes Craven, April Fool's Day for a guy called Fred Walton. He did Cujo for Louis Teague. Cujo was the Stephen King adaptation in which the loving, devoted family St. Bernard dog gets bitten by a rabid bat and then turns to terrorise the family and anyone who comes near. And for that score he was very orchestral, but with a fair bit of synth flourish and some stark percussion beats to denote the canine attacks and the bestial ferocity of that poor German Shepherd, St. Bernard. I actually found that film very sad because, I love my dogs, and to think that your devoted family pet could turn into such a monstrous creature, it was really upsetting for me. But the one we're going to talk about today is perhaps his best score, certainly his most famous score, and it would be for Wes Craven again, and it is the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. The first one and the best. Robert Englund, who doesn't fucking need makeup because he's got the face of a goblin anyway, plays Freddy Krueger. And I remember watching this film when it first came out at the flicks. A gang of us went, me, the hardened, gorehound from an early age, in the 70s. I was watching monster double bills. I was the one who'd seen The Exorcist and Suspiria, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween initially, and I'd seen everything, and I would advise these people, oh yes, this one's going to be a good one, this will be terrifying. Fucking hell, this one put me in a state of shock, because I was the one who was so immune to fear and the dread and shock and horror of some of these films, and yet this one really did a number on me. I can remember getting the bus back from the cinema, which was called the Unit 4 cinema, and yet it had 6 screens, not 4, 6, and it was called the Unit 4. Anyway, whatever. It's long gone now, long gone. And we're all like jacked up, after watching it. Wow, God, wasn't that film amazing? That bit where he did this, that bit where he did that. Wow, and those claws, those fingernails. Wow, Jesus. I just sat there on the bus like that. Chris, what's wrong with you? Chris. Are you there, Chris? I was in a fucking waking nightmare. God, that film really, really paralysed me with fear. Not just of the the jump variety, but that unsettling creepiness, the escalation of dread, and just sheer all-out bloody terror of what this fucking thing was going to do. Because it's Dreamworld, it's nightmares. He can do whatever he wants because he's in charge of that realm. God, that one fucked me up. But a huge part of that was the atmosphere and mood created, not just by Wes Craven's fantastic visuals and direction, but because of the score by Charles Bernstein. And I'm going to play a few little bits here. For this score, he went back after the Entity. He went to Cujo, which was orchestral mainly. Entity was synth. He went back to synth for this, and yeah, it's of its time. Lots of fuzzy, whooshing sound effects and that kind of fuzzy, warm, old-style synth. The big Korg and Moog synthesizers, and drum pads and synth pads and all that kind of stuff. But it works. It doesn't. I mean, it's of its time, and yet listening to it again, it does not seem dated. Yeah, the film had some songs in it too, and they are very dated. But the score itself is just to die for. It's so eerie. It sets such a mood where you're on edge right from the word go. And cleverly, of course, it has the lullaby, doesn't it? Come on, we all know this. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, come on you. Gonna stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again. That haunting lullaby and the sort of gentle and melodic main theme, but then he will twist all that into this dark vortex of just paralysing synth flashes and stabs and warbles and swooshes. Marvellously, Freddy Krueger, of course, has those finger knives, and he scratches on any metal surface. This motherfucker's going to scratch them, because that's going to put you even more on edge. Not only is he going to gut you with these things, he's going to tease and torment your earlobes with that scratching. What a bastard! But Charles Bernstein is able to sort of not incorporate it, but emulate the sound of metal on metal with some of his musical effects. And even when you just listen to the music, you're not seeing Freddy, in your mind's eye. He's right behind you. This is God. Cuts his own fingers off and all that. He's fucking lunatic. But the score is just to die for. So let's have a little listen. I love this track. This track's called School Horror, and this isn't the main theme, but this kind of encapsulates what I'm saying about setting the scene and making, just your blood freeze and the hairs stick up. It's quiet, but wow, does it do you in. part of the melody. See, there's a dark, depraved playfulness to this. These little bits cement details of depravity and fear all the way around you. That's the main theme. Again, there's a lullaby quality to it. It's these long, sustained pitches, which I love. It's almost like there's a floating veil of spectral ether just hovering in the room. And then these synth stabs blare through it, you know, jeez, poking you. And of course, you'll go on to, you know, some chaotic moments, because a great thing about he does in the film as well, he provides some really pulse-pounding and pulsating action cues, where, because it's a film where Freddy does a lot of chasing his victims, you know. So let's go on to one of them, which I think will be this one. Hear that? They're the claws hitting metal pipes and ding ding ding, and then going. Isn't it great? Let's listen to it.
This is God.
I have a blast on this. Now these are the stingers. Let's go into these. Blasts of synth. There's kind of like a BBC workshop feel to this, you know, for the old Doctor Who episodes. A lot of their experimental sound effects, Ron Grainer and all that. And obviously the whole synth thing is vested in John Carpenter. Carpenter would use a lot of stingers in exactly the same sort of way. But you'd recognise John Carpenter's synth a mile away. And you know that this is not John Carpenter. So that was that.
This is God.
Yeah, you told us. Let's go on to something else. Let's go on to it. It's just going to be like a little pick and mix on the soundtrack. What I've got here is the full score, with a couple of little bits of Freddy speaking. Yeah. Gets manic. It's like some kind of fucking Scooby-Doo on acid, you know. And Freddy's always laughing at you as well. What always gets me is that Freddy became this bloody cult icon. You'd have kids wearing the Freddy mask, the fedora, the stripy sweater, with the finger knives, the gloves. Kids. You know, gotta remember what Freddy was. He was a fucking child molester and child murderer, which made him all the more terrifying that he came back to go and kill, you know, the offspring of the ones who killed him. So he's still haunting kids. Oh, this is good. This is where the lad who gets accused of Tina's murder, which of course was Freddy doing it, and he's in the prison cell, and the sheets under Freddy's control wrap round his neck, and drag him up, and hang him. Ominous. Dark. But yeah, I mean, in later films, in the subsequent franchise, as we all know, franchise movies, especially horror franchises, it's the law of diminishing returns. The first ones are classics, otherwise there wouldn't be any fucking films to follow because they made money. The second might be alright, but then it's going to be a slow decline, and they become parodies of themselves. And no more so than in Freddy's case, because Freddy was a figure of genuine nightmare and terror. You know, you were afraid of this guy. And then he just became a quip monster, a one-liner. You know, he wouldn't need synth stingers. He'd provide his own verbal stingers, you know, and he was just a figure of fun. Manic, madcap, you know, dangerous fun. But he stopped being a thing of terror. But the first movie all works. That's enough of that. Let's go for... Nope, not that one. Let's go for... Remember this? This is the pre-Home Alone sequence, where Nancy, played by Heather Langenkamp, who's the final girl, the heroine of the piece, she's sussed on now. Look, I'm going to have to fight this motherfucker. So with her little book on survival hints and booby traps, she sets all booby traps around the house. And I'm going to bring him out. I'm going to bring him out from the nightmare realm into our world. So she's got like a gunpowder in a bloody light bulb. She's got traps everywhere. She's got this fucking sledgehammer wired up above the door, so when he comes through, it's going to swing down, whoa, get him right in the ghoulish gonads. So this is hard. This is, you know, feminism, pro-feminism, and fighting back here. But I love how Bernstein will bring in the main theme again, or the Freddy theme really, somewhere, kind of reminding you that yeah, you're doing all this, but you're going up against a guy that really doesn't play by the rules. He controls everything. I'd love to have actually had the prop, you know, the glove right now, or at least the fedora. But I've got a house full of props. I've not got a fucking Freddy glove, and I think it's because he's a filthy paedophile. I won't have that trash in my house. I've got a fedora somewhere, but it's my Indiana Jones costume, and I won't tame that with Freddy Krueger. What else are we going to see? love these bits. A sustained line, which wavers, pitch wavering. If you hear screaming in the background, well, it's Kilt-Man's house, isn't it? You expect screaming somewhere. There's a Liverpool game playing. All my family are, massive Red fans, so if they score, you'll know about it. Well done. It's just so creepy. I love it. Let's go to something else. Oh. My favourite jump in the movie. Nancy's being pursued by him again. She gets into the house, she slams the door, and of course, his face comes through the little glass window, and the mask comes out. Then she runs up the stairs, and her feet sink into the stairs. That old nightmarish chestnut where you can't run, her feet sink into the stairs. He's coming after her. She gets into her room. It's somewhere around this sequence anyway. She shuts her bedroom door, and there's a mirror on the inside of the door. And she backs away and she goes, "This is the dream, it isn't real. Just a dream, it isn't real. It isn't real." And as she says that, he comes fucking flying through the bloody door. Like that, claws out through the mirror. Oh, Jesus. You had to scrape me off the bloody cinema ceiling when I first saw that. Jesus Christ. Dare he scare Kilt-Man like that? It's just awesome stuff. Sadly, on the soundtrack, it doesn't actually have the kids singing, the lullaby. Which is probably just as well, because that would be too much. Too goddamn creepy. What's going to be a shame, perhaps, is that I'm going to record all this, and then YouTube's going to go, you can't play this, sorry. I mean, I've been dead lucky so far playing bits of music. So, let's keep our clawed fingers, our knife fingers crossed. You've got to agree this is creepy. And coupled with the visuals in the movie, it makes for one hell of a roller coaster ride. And as I say, walking the dog on deserted, darkened autumn streets as Halloween fast approaches. That kind of works too. I just love it. It's beautiful. Clever. It's clever that you can put in a lullaby. A lot of the best horror scores, or the most effective horror scores, have used this sort of device. If you think of the Amityville Horror, and I mean the original Amityville Horror with Margot Kidder and James Brolin, The score was done by the awesome Lalo Schifrin, who did the Mission Impossible soundtrack, you know, and a lot of Dirty Harry movies. So kind of funked up, jazzy, but dynamic action as well. And he did the atmosphere of horror, and it's a similar device as this. It's all based around a lullaby, a sort of melodic, sing yourself to sleep sort of lullaby. But he will use that in so many different ways, with these ominous tones, these high sort of lilting strings. This is like very much like a synth version of what Lalo Schifrin did with Amityville Horror. So it's got a good precedent already, a good pedigree. It's iconic, you know. And within it, there is a horrible sense of depravity lurking within it, just creeping, insinuating its way through the music. Dirty bastard. Isn't it great? Right, folks. I think you've probably heard enough of me prattling on. I bring you here, you know, listen to this score, and then I talk all the way through it. Anyway, plenty more to come. Plenty. Some more films to look forward to before the year is out, horror-wise, that is. There's a real biggie which I haven't mentioned yet in any of my videos, and I'm going to be covering that with some detail. I'm not even going to say what it is right now, but I'll bet some of you can guess. So yeah. Lest I forget. Of course I'm wearing a kilt. This is the Douglas. We have my favourite kilt pin on, which is the battle axe. Yeah. I've got 46 different kilts. One day I'll do a video on the kilts, maybe. Anyway, folks, for the time being, keep it creepy. Dream well, and have fun. Stay safe, y'all. Later.